Hello, once again, my name is Tim Grady. I'm from the Lawton, Oklahoma, USA, Seventh-Day Adventist Church. I'm just a member. Today I'm going to be talking about 12 and 24 volt DC air conditioning for small spaces, van life, boat life, uh, cabins. Why in the last 18 to 24 months they have become feasible. There's a lot of reasons. Uh, Part of it is the way China is manufacturing them. Part of them is uh, the way the manufacturing costs have come down, um, the type of manufacturing that they've used, but all that is basically irrelevant to the discussion. What has happened is based on automobile air conditioning systems for cabs of semi trucks, heavy equipment, um, and others. They're starting in the 8,000 to 12,000 BTU uh, uh, size uh, configurations. Now, the ones that were coming out 2 years and are still out there, that are being phased out, um, are based on an inverter inside, and it was actually uh, an AC uh, induction or an AC motor that used a transformer. Uh, but now that the true DC motors are out there with the rotary screw compressors, and that they're being able to be manufactured at a lower rate, and that they're now at a high enough manufacturing rate, uh, now makes cabins, small spaces, small homes, tiny homes able to have 12 and 24 volt air conditioning systems that are actually efficient. Now, let's talk about the solar side of it, solar and wind generation. Uh, I've always been somewhat against wind generation because they're more complicated and more expensive. But if you have wind, you have a proper wind place. Excuse me. If you have a proper wind placement, wind can help um, and be practical for the price nowadays. Again, same reason um, that the 12 and 24 volt. So you have a solar panel, comes into a charge controller, goes into batteries. Batteries can now go out, whether you have, and you can build a 24, a 12 or a 24 volt. The advantage of building a 24 volt is the cable size can be smaller. You can go to a 36, but they haven't made the 36 volt uh, air conditioning systems. So you're better off, even if you do a parallel series. But right now, for a um, basically a room of a size of about uh, 12 by 18, properly insulated, you can cool a 30, 35-degree difference from what outside temperature is. When you get above 100 degrees, you're now down to a 25-degree difference between the outside. So if it's 100 and you're 20 degrees, you're at 78, 75 degrees inside. Again, so let's go with solar panel, charge controller, batteries. Before, you used to have to put it into an inverter and then into the air conditioning unit. Every conversion has a percentage loss. Every time you add a component to a mechanical or an electrical circuit, you are introducing a potential failure point. Taking the inverter out takes out 2 to 3 failure points within the inverter. So an inverter really is 3 separate components in one box. So you have, if in the old way you had the solar panel, you had the charge controller, then you had the batteries, then you had the inverter, which was actually 3, and then you have the electric item. That was the old traditional. So you had 7 items of failure points. So now you have the solar panel array, you have the charge controller, you have the batteries, and you now have the item usage. So you now only have 4 instead of 7. So you've cut 3 failure points out. You also have cut out 2 breaker points, 2 fuse and breaker points when you design your solar system. So with a summary, the units using true DC motors without a parasitic loss of the charge or the inverter is the number one reason why. You've also taken out 3 points of failure by taking out the inverter. You've also taken out 2 fuse points, fuse or breaker points, fuse and or breaker points out of the system. You've shortened and now that you can go up to the 24-volt systems, you've reduced the cost of the cable, batteries. Oh, one more thing I must talk about. I'm sorry. I forgot to mention this. In most parts of North America, you can get away with as little as 300 watts of solar panel, 200 amp hours of battery in a 24-volt system to run a 1,500 BTU. No, 15,000 BTU. No, 15. They're really not BTU equivalents when you're talking about the DC air conditionings. The one that will do basically a 12 by 18 area, properly insulated, and so on, and keep it at a comfortable dehumidified level. So again, 300 watts of solar, if properly angled and getting your 5 hours of sunlight. Now, that's fine for van life, and the smaller units can get away with 300 watts, 200 amp hours of battery. If you're doing it at a house, you really want to go with 1 kilowatt and 300 amp hours per air conditioning unit. Use solar panels in a 24-volt system, and one of the larger units that are out there can now do off-grid smaller or tiny houses or multiple units to control air condition a house. That's the point of this video. Again, I'm sorry, I'll need to recap. If you're doing it in a house, small cabin, whatever. 1 kilowatt to support one of the larger units that are available right now of solar can get you your 3 days off, 300 amp hours of battery, and directly to the unit, as long as you keep your wiring short and you follow the rules. That's what it takes to operate a modern, true 12 volt DC, 12 or 24 volt DC. Of course, the higher the voltage, the more efficient the unit is. So I would say, will not do the 12 volt, go to 24 volt, get the smaller wiring, keep it less expensive, keep your cable run short. And yes, you can, with the proper sized panel, to the proper sized battery, to the proper sized unit, run air conditioning on solar. And there's a lot more to it. I'm just giving why it is now available and it can be done. When you can get used solar panels right now, you can get a kilowatt of solar panels delivered to your door for around $900. You can even go less if you use the less efficient panels. Right now, you can get 2 kilowatts delivered to your door for $1,500, but they take up more area, so it's a balancing again. It's getting inexpensive and affordable. That's the point of this video, that you can now afford DC 24 volt, 12 you can do, but you really need to do the 24 volt. In a mobile application, you can do a 12 volt, different subject, and a smaller array, because you have the ability to DC charge off of your alternator. So you don't need the larger array. You can get away in a mobile application with a 300 watt solar array, and 200 amp hours of battery capacity. But that's a different story. So yes, the point is, yes, you can, because of the new DC air conditionings, the high efficiency DC air conditioning, what they're calling mini splits, but they're just nothing more than a automotive type air conditioning system that's larger. So with that said, I'm going to end this video here. So out here.